that she caught the attention of her father, and they had a baby. And he also had a relationship with his sister. They did not have a baby, but they did the stuff you do to make a baby.
While he was a werewolf, or
no, this was as a man, as far as I can tell. And he also had a mistress, which I have to tell you, this I have to pull from here because I didn't know this was what they called mistresses back then. Catherine Trompin, a woman of tall and comely stature, of exceeding good favor, and one that was so well esteemed among her neighbors. But his lewd and inordinate lust being not satisfied with the company of many concubines, nor his wicked fancy content with the beauty of any woman, at length the devil sent upon him a wicked spirit in the similitude and likeness of a woman, so fair of face and comely of personage, that she resembled rather some heavenly helphin than any mortal creature. So far her beauty exceeded the choicest sort of woman, and with her, as with his heart's delight, he kept company the space of 7 years, though in the end she proved and was found indeed no other than a she-devil.
A she-devil?
Basically, they said that his mistress was the devil in disguise.
You're
and that was the
devil in disguise.
I don't know that song very well. But yeah, so no woman could satiate his thirst.
And the devil just couldn't wait until he got to hell to get a piece of that werewolf booty.
Look, he was doing a lot for the devil, and it really turned him on.
He had to come to earth as a she-devil. A comely she-devil. What does that mean? Comely.
Rebecca, what does comely mean?
I always thought it was meant average or meek.
Comely has a broad and beautiful history. Although comely is now typically used to describe the appearance of human beings, it was used more broadly of other appealing things such as fine clothing. Comely can be traced back to an Old English word meaning lovely, glorious, or fine.
Oh.
So, me.
Well, we now know Peter's dalliances with the lady folk, including those that he murdered. Peter, after many, many, many years of doing this, had some close calls. One was when everybody was on high alert and they had weapons with them and they were all traveling in packs. He came upon a group of children, and he had this thing where he would come upon groups and chase all of them away except for one, separate one from the herd and attack that person. So he was doing this with the child. He grabbed the young girl, and it said he was unable to sink his teeth into her throat due to her high stiff collar, and she let out this scream that startled cattle nearby, and the cattle started stampeding and almost stampeded him, and she was able to run away. But that was the only person who was able to get away from him. Her family member is one of the 3 men that contributed to the 16-page pamphlet.
I'm curious. He couldn't have had 3 paws as a werewolf.
He couldn't have.
How would he
couldn't get the belt off
them? Well, he couldn't get the belt out, and how would he grab people and hold them to attack them?
Would he I feel like I would walk around if ever I needed to do something that was hard to do with just one hand. I would put the belt on just so that I'd have an extra hand.
But then you'd lose your thumbs.
Rather be down 2 thumbs or a whole hand?
Oh,
would you rather?
Would you another game?
Be a 3-armed man or a 4-pawed werewolf?
3-armed man?
Yep.
I take that one. Dibs. So eventually he gets caught. The way he gets caught is people in town get fed up and they put together hunting parties to find this wolf that has been terrorizing them for 25 plus years. And when they find the wolf, they corner it. And Peter is like, shit, I'm stuck. What do I do? He ends up taking off his belt right there in front of everybody.
In front of God and everybody.
In front of God and everybody. They say, the people on the hunting party say that all of the sudden Peter was there holding a staff, not a belt, a staff, which is weird, but they assume it's the devil playing tricks on them. So they scoop him up and go straight over to Peter Stump's house, and they are going to find Peter Stump to prove that this is the devil playing a trick on them. Well, obviously he isn't at his house. The house is empty, or maybe it has his incestuous people and the she-devil. But they realize, oh shit.
A little victim blaming.
I did not mean it that way. I really did. I'm so sorry. Oh no, damn it.
Sorry, I'd much rather call you out now than have
No, I appreciate
people
that.
call us out on Twitter or on Instagram or what am I trying to say? iTunes.
Social media?
Yeah, that we
Yeah.
need a glitter bomb.
Yeah. No, I did not mean it. Victim blaming. I really didn't. But I don't know who was at his house, but he wasn't there. So they were like, oh, shit, you really are Peter Stump. So they immediately take him to trial. October 28th, 1589. Peter Stump is on trial for the murder of countless men, women, children, and cattle in and around Bedburg.
And cattle. Don't forget this livestock.
Well, actually, so most of the time they're referred to as the lamb and the sheep and other livestock. So we'll come back to that. He is found guilty and makes a full confession and talks about it in great detail, what all he did. And it's a little overwhelming.
His confession is overwhelming.
Well, from what they say, they don't put the whole confession in here. He was shortly after put to the rack in the town of Bedford, but fearing the torture, he voluntarily confessed his whole life and made known the villainies which he had committed for the space of 25 years. Also, he confessed by how sorcery he procured of the devil a girdle, which being put on, he forthwith became a wolf, which girdle at his apprehension, he confessed he cast it off in a certain valley and there left it, which, when the magistrate heard, they sent to the valley for it, but at their coming found nothing at all, for it may be supposed that it was gone to the devil from whence it came, so that it was not to be found. For the devil, having brought the wretch to all the shame he could, left him to endure the torments which his deeds deserved. So the devil was like, peace, bitch. It's all on you.
You'll be down here with me soon, and I'll no longer have to be a she-devil to get what I want.
For his crimes, though, he had a nice, I'd say nice, I think it's a suiting execution. So, on the 31st of October, in a square of Bedburg, he was placed on a device known as a breaking wheel. It's a large cart, and he was tied and bound. They had red-hot pincers and used them to tear the skin from his bones. His arms and legs were then broken with wooden hatchets. And then he was killed by beheading, and they burnt his body. Since they deemed his daughter and mistress to be accessories to his crimes, they were tossed in the fire with him.
Alive?
Yes.
That's unfortunate.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that's the downfall of
That
Peter.
escalated quickly.
Yeah. And then they erected a shrine.
To what?
This whole situation,
Why?
to keep it from happening again, to tell people this is what happens when you make deals with the devil.
Okay.
Is it a giant werewolf statue?
It is not, but it does have a wolf on it. So they used the breaking wheel as the centerpiece and engraved a wolf on it and then put a pole on it with Peter's head on top.
Oh.
Classy.
It was encircled with 16 pieces of wood a foot in length, symbolizing the victims of Peter, the victims that they knew, like for sure were his victims. Then they say something in here that when I was reading it, I was like, oh shit, I forgot what was going on during this time back then. So after they tell the whole story in this pamphlet, they put, "This gentle reader, I have set down the true discourse of this wicked man, Stub Peter, which I desire to be a warning to all sorcerers and witches, which unlawfully follow their own devilish imagination to the utter ruin and destruction of their souls eternally, from which wicked and damnable practice I beseech God keep all good men, and from the cruelty of their wicked hearts. Amen." Basically, all of this was just like pushing religion, and anybody who was going against their type of religion was deemed a witch.
Propaganda.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Look at you being all smart and shit. Best friend. One of the theories around Peter Stump was that he was not a werewolf at all. Don't laugh.
You she-devil?
You she-devil. What is wrong with you?
You don't say.
Rebecca is flabbergasted
Color me shocked.
over this revelation.
Basically, one theory is that this area was, I believe this area was mostly Catholic, and Peter was a Protestant.
Shame.
when he could not be coerced in converting to Catholicism, they had to ostracize him.
They just made up a story about him and a she-devil.
Yeah, I mean, you've got this wolf attacking everybody. Like, wolves do that in the wild. They attack things. And, you know, this is Germany in 1580 something. It's, you know, the wild.
The history with Tiffany, you know, before electricity was discovered. The wild.
I told you, I'm going to rewrite history books.
The Wild West.
That would be the wild east from us. It's fine. Well, I mean, if you go far enough west, you come to Germany. It's good. Anyway.
You just admitted
It's
that the
round.
earth is round.
Damn it. Damn it. I'm so sorry, Rebecca.
I had so much faith in you.
I know. I'm sorry.
Now I'm going to have to go write a story about you being a succubus.
So that's one reason people think this story came up. Some people think that Peter Stump may have suffered from various mental illnesses that were wildly misunderstood at the time.
At the time, right. Because
So-
they're perfectly clear now.
So things like being a serial killer with a lot of body hair.
Well, serial killer is what we're getting to next. Don't jump the gun.
Serial killer with a lot of body hair.
Like Tim Bundy. Ted Bundy.
Tim Bundy. Don't know his story. I'm sure you'll fill us in on that one later.
Things like depression, epilepsy, psychosis, dissociative disorders. And did you know there's a thing called clinical lycanthropy?
What? Lycanthropy?
Sure. It's a medical delusion whereby the sufferer actually believes themselves to be able to transform into an animal.
I did know.
I did not.
So not furries?
Not furries.
Okay.
Not
No.
that they can actually, they believe that they can actually transform
And
into.
it's not just an alter
No.
persona. Okay.
Correct. So some people think that maybe he was suffering from some of sort of mental illness that was misunderstood, and that these wolf attacks were then placed on him because of what he was showing signs of. Then there's also the theory that he was a serial killer. Just because they can't prove he wasn't a werewolf doesn't mean he didn't kill these people. So if he did kill these people, yes, he is a serial killer, and you know, you should probably ixnay that.
Or he could have been a werewolf.
Thank you. I think he was a werewolf. Now, if he were a werewolf, do we assume that his story was true about the girdle and the devil? Or was he just a werewolf that once a month transformed into a beast who he could not control?
Well, why does it only have to be once a month?
Because the full moon.
I think it's the belt.
Okay, so if it's the belt, then yes, kill him.
Whoa. What was the question?
Rebecca's like, wait a second. What did I just agree to?
No, if it was the belt, he deserved to die for his heinous crimes. Now, if it was the once a month he turned into an animal he couldn't control, then you need to like lock him up and do that.
Then this
the
is
devil was controlling him. It's not his fault.
If he know it, does he? Well, he might not know he does it.
See, that's what I'm saying. If it was the once a month thing, at the full moon he transforms into this wolf. Lock him up during the full moon. So
Well, he
can't
was
attack
obviously
anybody.
aware enough. If it was the belt, then he was obviously aware enough to know what was going on because he took the belt off
Yeah.
when they had him cornered.
Yeah. Well, then they did the right thing. Unless, of course, you know, it was the religious propaganda or, you know, the mental illness. Then
Probably not.
probably
so much.
not so much. But we come to the end where I say that he really was a werewolf and they exist, and watch your back.
Okay.
What I did learn during all of this was, did you know there were werewolf trials? Everybody talks about the witch trials and the witch hunts. Did you know there were werewolf trials?
Doesn't shock me.
That's not surprising.
Most of them stemmed from witch trials, but whatever.
But they were their own thing.
I thought it was really cool. So there's apparently a famous one called Hans the Werewolf, and it was a werewolf witch trial in Estonia in 1651. So I'm going to give you a real quick Wikipedia version of it. In 1651, Hans was brought before the court accused of being a werewolf at the age of 18. He had confessed that he had hunted as a werewolf for 2 years. He claimed he had gotten the body of a wolf by a man in black. Quote, when asked by the judge if his body took part in the hunt or if only his soul was transmuted, Hans confirmed that he had found a dog's teeth marks on his own legs, which he had received while a werewolf. Further asked whether he felt himself to be a man or a beast while transmuted, he said that he felt himself to be a beast.
Kill the beast.
Right? Therefore, the court considered it proof that he had not merely entered the body of a wolf, but really transformed into one, which meant he had undergone a magical transformation. Furthermore, as he was given this disguise by a, quote, man in black, which the court thought was obviously Satan, he could be judged guilty of witchcraft and sentenced to death. And he was.
That he did.
That he did. But yeah, I didn't know werewolf trials were a thing.
I'm not shocked by it, but I did not ever know specifically about them. Good to know.
Right? But I'm going to put this 16-page pamphlet on the blog. I'm going to give it to Rebecca to put on the blog. And it's a fascinating read. And there were some parts in there where I chuckled and I realized what I was reading and I shouldn't be chuckling. But things like doth make me happy. Great matters which the accursed practice of sorcery doth affect, the fruit whereof is death and destruction forever. It's fun.
I appreciate the little things in life that give you such joy.
Me too. They're just the best. But yeah, don't become a werewolf, people. Don't make deals with the devil. If you become a werewolf because you're bitten and once a month you change, shit sucks and you need to figure out a plan to be locked up for a month or for once a month. But don't make deals with the devil if you believe in the devil.
That sounds like fair advice.
Thanks. Life advice in history class with Tiffany.
Here's the real moral of that story. Girdles aren't worth it. Just let it all out, baby.
Truth. But I have, since finding out about this, I have put my girdle on a couple times just to
See if you would turn into a werewolf.
Just to put it on and be like, I'm putting on my girdle.
Rah. Well, rawr. Well, remember, friends, everyone has something that they find odd. Let us tell you why it's not.
If you have any questionable topics you'd like us to discuss, you can share them with us on any of our social medias. Links can be found on our website, theladiesestrange.com, or you can email them to us at theladiesestrange@gmail.com. And don't forget to leave us a rating and review on iTunes /Apple Podcasts. I'm not 100% what it's called now because I'm super in tune with that. But anyway, leave us a rating and review to enter the giveaway.
Jumping all up in my outro space, but it's fine because you were doing the Lord's work. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. And if you think we're doing a great job and want to support the show, you can find us on Patreon. Keep it strange, lovelies. Rawr.
Welcome to the Spooky Scary Show. We are two friends in two different states who discuss all things spooky, scary, and just downright strange. We read news stories every week. If you would like to suggest a topic or submit a paranormal story, email us at spookyscaryshow@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram and Facebook for spooky facts and updates.
Hello, ghosties and Pinky. How are ya?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am currently waiting in anticipation for the birth of my little nephew. I'm so excited.
How fun.
I know. My poor sister has been dying all week, and she finally texted saying she's like 3 to 4 centimeters dilated, so she's just waiting to see if they will admit you, because you have to be at least 5. So
How miserable.
I know, poor thing. She texted that she had like this breakdown last night, and I was just like, hey, you're allowed to feel your feelings. You can scream and cry and do whatever, because you're gonna have a baby.
Your body is literally ripping itself apart right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Poor thing.
Ugh.
Oh my god.
Nothing really interesting happened to me. It feels like it's already the end of December. At least I want it to be, because kids and Christmas break coming up. Send help.
I bet they get super, super rowdy, don't they? And they just, like, don't want to listen worth nothing.
Not at all.
You can threaten Santa. Be like, well, I'm going to tell Santa.
I have him in my contacts. So I'll threaten to call, and it like plays like a Santa threatening message. Like, I'm gonna leave Santa a message. I'm a terrible teacher.
I love that. Is there any way you could pull it up?
Let me see. I did have it in my contacts. We have an elf on the shelf too in our classroom that's been getting into stuff and being naughty.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is like super popular. I mean, I don't have kids, so I don't really get the hullabaloo about it, but I know they lose their barnacles about it.
Yeah. So there's an app that my friend downloads that you can set it to say their name. So Santa says their name. Yeah. This is the one I've used before, I think. Let's see. It's
Merry Christmas! This is Santa Claus, and you have reached my personal hotline. We have been very busy making all of those toys to deliver on Christmas morning, and I want you to know that your family loves you very much, and so do I. So be good, and don't forget to always listen to your parents. When you hear the tone, please leave me your Christmas gift wishes and holiday cheer. And remember, kids, I know who's been naughty and nice.
Ooh.
Merry Christmas, and I'll see you soon.
Damn, son. You straight snitching on them kids.
I haven't done it to these kids yet this year, so
That's good. Okay. Hopefully they're not getting too old to be like, that's not gonna work.
no, not yet. They're second graders, so not quite yet.
I love that. That is amazing. And then there's a little app too that you can type in their names and probably say like, Johnny, why are you being naughty?
There's like selections for it. Maybe I'll download that one.
Oh, that's awesome. That's crazy. Alrighty, so Pinky, what is our science topic this week?
This week's science topic is killer plants.
Dun dun dun! This topic was so fun to research because it's like literally almost everything in your backyard could like essentially kill you, which now I'm paranoid for my dogs.
Right. I learned so much. J-Rock was like, you learn a lot when you do that show. You just have to like research. I'm like, I know, it like makes me write and research and read. I'm like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I know, mine's all like, what is it, history based, so I'm going back to like Socrates times. It's crazy.
Very cool. So my killer plant comes from Australia. Big surprise.
Oh my god. Everything can kill you.
Right. What doesn't want to kill you in Australia? It's called the suicide plant.
I am very intrigued.
So the scientific species name is Dendrocnide morides, or it's also called the gimpy gimpy. So
I like that.
Yeah, that sounds a lot less sinister.
Before we called each other, I had to like go to Webster Dictionary and like type in my plants and like listen to how you pronounce like the scientific names. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, I definitely did too. There's no way I'm saying Dendrocnide morides. Did you see the word? I'm like
German.
Dendrocinide morides. I'm like, we're Googling that.
Morbides.
Yeah. Morides? What the fuck? That is not what it looks like at all. Fucking Latin and Greek and shit.
Now get the fuck out of here.
So, the gimpy gimpy is most similar to the Atherion tableland stinger, with the other two species growing over 20 meters, but it is said to have the worst sting of all, and possibly the most painful sting of any plant in Australia.
Damn.
It has broad, oval, or heart-shaped leaves, which appear furry because they're covered in dense stinging hairs. The edges are saw-toothed and white or purple-red fruit. The stems and the fruit are also covered in the stinging hairs.
Dang, that's crazy. Because for me, when I see like a fuzzy plant, I'm like, ooh, I want to touch it. So, yikes.
Don't touch the gimpy.
No touchy.
I do that with cactuses or cacti, too. I always want to pet the fuzzy cacti.
It's like, don't do it.
Oh, it's awful. Those little tiny fuzzy hairs that, like, don't come out.
Mm-hmm.
So, although it's called a tree, the gimpy is a soft, wooded shrub that can reach 4 to 5 meters, but is often found as a smaller shrub around 0.1 to 1 meter tall. Small plants earn the appropriate name of ankle biters as the unwary traveler brushes against them.
I like that.
It is most at home in the tropics. The gimpy is able to grow in northern New South Wales, but it is most commonly from southern Queensland to Cape York Peninsula. It's especially common in Atherton tablelands. The mulberry-like seeds are dispersed by birds. Scientist Dr. Hugh Spencer, who established the Cape Tribulation Tropical Research Station with Brigida Flick, says the trees are uncommon in the lowlands, but are in much higher numbers in the upland areas such as Wonkable State Forest near Atherton. So these trees are opportunistic and will often sprout up at the scene of a major disturbance, such as a cyclone or cleared area of forest. They like sunny areas protected from the wind and are often found along the edges of streams, walking tracks, and roadways through the forest.
Yeah, no wonder it's an ankle biter. Yikes.
How the gimpy stings. So when it's touched, the tip of the silica hairs can break off. Hugh says this then turns the hair into a self-injecting hypodermic needle. He describes the sting as initially like being attacked by wasps, then you get whitening and swelling at the site, then if it's really bad you get sweating, liquid just drips out of your skin.
Oh, God.
The actual chemicals contained in the venom are not completely understood, though Hugh thinks it could be a possible peptide called moradin, hence the species name. Coating of the hairs may be responsible for the intensity of the pain. The hairs can become embedded in skin, which can lead to long-term pain and sensitivity. There are many accounts of people suffering for months from a sting.
Months?
Months.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It is just as capable of stinging when its leaves are dead, too. There were people who had, like, a dry bottle of the specimen, and they got stung from it, like, hundreds of years later.
Oh my God. What the hell? That's crazy.
The Australian stinging trees are native and are eaten by some mammals, birds, and insects without harming them. They provide places to live for some animals.
Damn. It's like a sand anemone, but, like, on land.
Yeah, kinda, huh? If you're stung, they say not to rub it because it can make it worse. Like, it'll break off the little hairs. That you're supposed to rub your skin with diluted hydrochloric acid to neutralize the hair's peptide coating, and then use waxing strips to move the hairs. While you would be miserable as hell once stung, says Hugh, treatment with the acid hair strip approach should reduce the severity and duration of the pain.
Damn.
Okay. This next part is called Once Stung, Never Forgotten. So this doctor, or this researcher, Marina Hurley, her dedication to science was sorely tested during the 3 years she spent in Queensland's Atherton tablelands studying stinging trees. The entomologist and the ecologist's first encounter with the gimpy stinging tree produced a sneezing fit and left her eyes and nose running for hours.
Oh God, that's like me. I have horrible allergies, so I would probably die. I'd be like, no.
Stay away.
Yes.
Even she was wearing protective particle masks and welding gloves, and she got stung multiple times, and one time she had to go to the hospital.
Oh my God.
She ended up developing a severe allergy. She said being stung is the worst kind of pain you can imagine, like being burnt with hot acid and electrocuted at the same time.
Jesus.
At this time, she was a postgraduate student at James Cook University, and she was investigating the herbivores that eat the stinging trees.
Damn.
The allergic reaction developed over time, causing extreme itching and huge hives that eventually required a steroid treatment. At that point, my doctor advised that I should have no further contact with the plant, and I didn't object.
And you're like, okay, yeah, that's fine with me.
Right. So because it lives along the creek lines and stuff, the ankle biter areas, the gimpy gimpy has been a hazard for foresters, surveyors, and timber workers, some of whom are today supplied with respirators, thick gloves, and antihistamine tablets as a precaution. More recently, the hairs covering the plant stems, leaves, and fruits have also posed a danger to scientists and bushwalkers.
Damn.
North Queensland Road Surveyor A.C. Macmillan was among the first to document the effects of the stinging tree, reporting to his boss in 1866 that his pack horse was stung, got mad, and died within 2 hours.
No, that's so sad. Horsey.
Similar tales abound in local folklore of horses jumping in agony off cliffs and forestry workers drinking themselves silly to dull the intractable pain.
Oh, damn, that escalated. God.
That's no joke.
Yes. Oh, dang.
Writing to Marina in 1984, Australian ex-serviceman Cyril Bromley described falling into a stinging tree during military training on the Tableland in World War II.
Oh, no.
It's not funny.
I know.
Was strapped to a hospital bed for 3 weeks and administered all manner of unsuccessful treatments. He was sent mad as a cut snake by the pain. Cyril also told of an officer shooting himself after using a stinging tree leaf for toilet purposes.
No. Oh, stop it. Your bum hole. No. I bet that would swell, and then that would probably cause other issues where you can't defecate, and even if you can, oh god, kill
terrible.
Me. I get
For real.
The name.
Yes. This guy's had too many stings to count, but Ernie Ryder will never forget the day in 1963 that he was slapped in the face, arms, and chest by a stinging tree. I remember it feeling like there were giant hands trying to squash my chest. For 2 or 3 days, the pain was almost unbearable. I couldn't work or sleep. Then it was pretty bad pain for another fortnight or so, which is 2 weeks.
Oh, shit.
The stinging persisted for 2 years and recurred every time I had a cold shower.
No way. 2 years. I wonder if that does, nerve damage.
I was wondering what the deal is.
Yeah.
I was having a hard time finding information. I think that maybe these little hairs embed themselves in there and you can't get them out because they're so tiny.
God.
So it's if you don't strip every single hair out with tape, or if one breaks off, they just sit there with that poison.
Dang.
Yeah. This guy is now a senior conservative officer with the Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service. Ernie said he's not experienced anything like that pain during the 44 years of work in the bush. There's nothing to rival it. It's 10 times worse than anything else. Scrub ticks, scrub itch, and itchy jack sting included. Stinging trees are a real and present danger. So swollen was Les Moore after being stung across the face several years ago that he said he resembled Mr. Potato Head.
Oh, no. Poor guy.
He said, I think I went into anaphylactic shock, and it took days for my sight to recover. Les is a scientific officer with the CSIRO Division of Wildlife and Ecology in Queensland who was near Bartle Frere, North Peak, studying cassowaries when the disaster struck. Within minutes, the initial stinging and burning intensified, and the pain in my eyes was like someone had poured acid on them. My mouth and tongue swelled up so much that I had trouble breathing. It was debilitating, and I had to blunder my way out of the bush.
Oh my god. He's lucky, he didn't go blind or anything.
Yeah. In your eyes.
Yeah. Fuck.
It was perhaps this rapid and savage reaction that inspired the British Army's interest in the more sinister applications of the Gimpy Gimpy stinging tree in 1968. That year, the Chemical Defense Establishment at portioned down a top secret lab that developed chemical weapons. They contacted Alan Seawright, who was a professor of pathology at the University of Queensland, to dispatch stinging tree specimen. Chemical warfare is their work, so I could only assume that they were investigating its potential as a biological weapon.
Of course. My God.
Now an honorary research consultant to the University of Queensland's National Research Centre in Environmental Toxicology. I've never heard anything more, so I guess we'll never know.
Terrifying. Okay, great. That's great. That's awesome.
Imagine that, like, that in a bomb that, like, dispenses into the air.
Shit. Or just, like, if you were able to, like, kind of like one of my stories, like, brew it down to, like, a tea, or, like, infect, like, water sources, and, like, I wonder what happens if you were to ingest it. Yeah.
Like that on the inside.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrifying. Stop it. Do not use this for biological warfare.
Terrible, terrible.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That was a good one.
And I have a honorable mention that I didn't do a whole story on, but I just wanted to talk about it briefly because it's something that scares the absolute shit out of me because we have it here. I've never seen it. It's called the giant hogweed. It looks like, do you know what Queen's Anne lace looks like? The little white flowers. Okay, so it's like that, but giant, like 6 feet tall. If you touch it or you get the sap on you, it reacts with the sun and it causes phytophotodermatitis, which is like, you get 3rd-degree burns, basically. Fuck. Like, there were pictures of people with blisters on their hands, like the size of $50 bubbles.
Shit. I think I've heard about that. It's like, if it drips, like in the summer and you're walking under and you don't know, like it's basically like acid, like dripping on you.
And also, fun fact, that phytophotodermatitis can happen from like limes and lemons, citrus fruit. If you ever cut up a citrus fruit, you need to make sure you wash your hands before you go out in the sun because it can cause 3rd-degree burns too.
What?
And it can actually change your DNA. You can have those burns forever.
What? And I did not know that.
Become sensitive to it. Same with the hogweed. If it can change your DNA.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's insane. So all you enjoying a margarita outside or something,
wash your hands.
Yeah, I googled I can't even say the word, but like the burns on the skin. Oh my God! Like their skin looks black in some
the hogweed.
Hogweed looks pretty. Oh yeah, this guy's like in a hazmat suit, like standing by it.
Yeah, so we have him here, and you have to be really fucking careful.
Oh wow, I need to like research before I move to Washington, just because I don't want like my dog to eat anything. Well, I mean, you guys keep your yard clean, but you know, dogs get into stiff.
Yeah, we haven't had any problems here. I don't think it's too, like, you just have to watch out.
Oh, some of these are so bad. Like their hands are like a giant blister. Ugh.
Like a balloon.
Yes. Oh my God.
And you know how bad fucking burns hurt?
Yeah. Especially if they pop.
Oof. I imagine it's like a weird kind of burn too. Like, have you ever gotten burnt from jalapeno?
I've gotten it in my eyes.
It doesn't burn your skin if you cut it without gloves?
No. Only if I like touch like my nose or my eyes or something.
Oh, I'm like really, really sensitive to jalapenos. So if I've cut in a couple jalapenos without gloves, and it is excruciating. And there's no relief, and you can't see it. Like,
oh my God.
It's not like red or swollen or anything. It does get red on my face. One time I like had burning hands, and then I had like a burning Hitler mustache.
No.
I'm like, make it stop.
You know what's like kind of crazy for me though is onions. Even green onions I can't cut, but red and yellow onions are the worst. Like my eyes swell, and I'm like crying and like so much mucus coming out of my face, and it will be like that for like 24 hours.
Oh God.
Yeah, like if we go to tabanaki places, you know how they do like the choo-choo, and then they have like the steam come out of the onions. It just messes up my whole night. My eyes will just be burning all night, and it's just like it's all puffy, and I'm like, I love it.
That's crazy.
They taste so good.
That chemical, the chemical in onions that irritates you, I'm pretty sure you can build up a tolerance to it and not be affected by it. So,
I'm down.
but it kind of sounds like you're a little bit allergic.
But I can eat it just fine. But I hope not.
So maybe not. I don't know. That's weird.
I know. It's crazy how plants have, like, their defense mechanisms against us.
Yeah. The chemical irritant in onions is known as synpropanol oxide.
Huh.
I probably said that wrong.
You're just doing the best you can. It's excruciating. I can only imagine, like, how the jalapeno is for your skin.
Ouch.
So,
It's
like,
bad.
if you get, like a pickle jar, is it still, like, really bad? You know how they, like, come in jars?
That doesn't bother me, no. It's only fresh jalapenos.
Interesting.
And every single time, I have to wear gloves. And I have to be careful I don't touch any of my skin with my gloved hands afterwards.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But I can eat them fine. Once they're cooked, they're fine. If they're pickled, they're fine.
Huh. That's crazy. Oh my god. Alrighty. So I chose at least 5 cool plants and how they've had, like, they've killed people in history. So before I get into my first plant, I was listening to this, there's a word for it, but a plant scientist expert guy. So he would walk around with an umbrella and he would take this poisonous bean of, like, this from this plant or something and get the secretion on the tip of the umbrella, walk around town and bump people with it by accident. Not by accident, but he would claim it was an accident. Anyway, so this would cause a lot of people to break out in blisters, allergic reactions. One person actually went into anaphylactic shock because of it. So it was like a weird, sadistic kind of like serial attack person.
Ugh.
Yeah, so I couldn't find the story or like any more information, or I totally would have covered that one. But yeah, I thought that was crazy.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see if I can pronounce these big words. So my first one is the